Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison. How are we doing tonight, Harrison?
Fantastic. It's been a fun week, Nick. How we doing?
It has been absolutely insane. As you can see, episode 180, 'tis the season. It's free agent season, baby. And we're going to get right into it. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We have now also joined Rumble. So if you've not heard of Rumble, go over there, check us out, give us a follow. Any support, like we've been saying the last 3 years we've been doing this, any support is greatly appreciated. So go over there, check us out on there if you haven't already.
Yeah, and welcome to our Rumble audience for the very first time.
Absolutely. All right. As we say, the last month or so, get your Christmas shopping done. Your last minute Christmas shopping done through the links on our Facebook page. You can find Dick's, MLB Shop, and Lids. You just click the links. It goes straight to their website, and we get a kickback from what you guys buy from there. And again, the support is appreciated. So go check those out. All right. So we'll hop in. Obviously, the news broke last night. Juan Soto, 15 years, $765 million.
Is that a lot?
I mean, I've said it before. I call that a slow Tuesday. But no deferred money in this contract. Absolutely insane. And then this is where, as the details of the contract started to leak out, we were like, okay, opt-outs at a year 5, which I'm like, that's early for a 15-year deal to begin with. And then I'm like, oh, wait, there's like a little caveat in there. If he doesn't opt out, he gets a $4 million raise for every season after that. So he could make, after year 5, $55 million a year.
So what you're basically setting yourselves up to, he's going to opt out to force you to give him the raise, or just go sign another deal, because who knows the market's going to be in 5 years. Like you're trying to turn this into a 5-year deal. Is the feeling that I get. Which would be him going back to free agency at what, his age 31 year? So
yeah,
still in his prime.
I mean, absolutely insane. I mean, as the numbers started to climb, and Cohen said, I'm not going to get outbid. Like, I knew it was going to be the Mets. I mean, we've been saying it for the last 2 months. Yep. Like, Cohen's not going to get outbid, and he didn't. He did exactly what he promised. He said, whatever deal you're going to get, I'm going to beat it by $50 million. And that's what he did. As you can see, Yankees reportedly offered him 16 years for $760. So he got one less year for roughly the same amount of money.
Yep.
So yeah, Cohen outbid everybody. I mean, yeah, and honestly, I don't disagree with this. And baseball, and we'll get to it in a little bit. Sports are getting out of control. The money is absolutely insane. The amount of money it costs for us to just go to a game is astronomical, and there's no need for it. There really isn't any need. Good for Soto for getting this money. Good for him. But there's no need for it.
Yeah, there's no justification. And everybody keeps saying, well, Ohtani was different. The Dodgers paid for Ohtani because, yes, he's a two-way player. Although news came out about his pitching next year that we'll get into in a little bit. But Ohtani brings with him an insane amount of marketing money. He brings an entire country with him. And we've talked about this on the show before. Like, with Ohtani, it's less about baseball and more about marketing. With Soto, all you're getting is a great hitter. He doesn't pitch. He's not a great fielder. Doesn't run the bases all that well. Doesn't have a great arm. He's just a great hitter. Yeah. And there's just zero justification for that money. But Steve Cohen, being a fan and owner and having the money to spend, basically said, okay, I want him. I'm going to sign him.
Yeah. And listen, we're with you here. Like, I don't I don't really care that the Mets overpaid. Like, it's not my money. I don't care. And I don't have an issue with Cohen spending the money. I hope he
Nope.
goes out and he gets Corbin Burns. I hope he gets Max Fried. I hope he brings Alonso back. I hope he just goes all in at this point.
Yeah, $400 million payroll. I don't.
Yeah, bring it.
Yep.
Like I love this for the Mets. You know, the Mets fans have been suffering for years. They have. And I'm glad that they finally got a bona fide superstar of this caliber. Yes, Francisco Lindor is also in that conversation. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But to land this guy is huge for the New York Mets. I do love the signing. I really do.
Well, the Mets, and we said a few weeks ago, the Mets need a face of the franchise, and the fan base is never going to accept Lindor as that guy.
Yeah.
They need somebody, and Soto's got the star power. He's young. He's going to be there now for 15 seasons, maybe. He becomes the guy. He becomes the guy you build around. And I think the money's insane, but that's where the market was, and Cohen paid it. This is only a bad deal for the Mets if they can't afford to go get other players, which we know Cohen. That's not a problem for Cohen. He's got the money to spend, so
yeah.
He's got all of the all that dead money from Verlander and Scherzer when he shipped guys out of town. That's all fallen off the books now. He's clean. He dumped a bunch of payroll and can reload. And yeah, and you're for Mets fans, I mean, hallelujah for you, because you've had a lot of years of getting kicked by ownership that was either cheap or lost money in the Madoff scheme, or for whatever reason, the Mets continually struggle to build a good team around them. And they've had their spurts. They're in the World Series in what, 15? They've had their spurts, but they haven't been consistently good now in a while. And as a Mets fan, you now have your cornerstone franchise player, the guy you're going to build around, and Cohen's got some payroll flexibility from the guys that fell off. And now you got to go get some pitching and add to that roster, because that lineup's not super scary with just he and Lindor in it. And you're going to have a team that is in the hunt. And I think the difference is the Mets signed Soto, no deferred money, no games. The contract is what it is straight up. What drives fans crazy is that the Dodgers are playing this deferred money game and signing bonus game, and how do we change the annual values to avoid the luxury tax. And for Cohen, it was just, what's the number? Here's the contract. Sign here. I'll pay your money. And we're not trying to play games to get around it.
Right. And I love that as a baseball fan. Like, that's all we've been screaming about, really, with the Dodgers. Is this like, okay, go ahead and build your super team. We don't care.
Yeah.
But it should cost you. And it's really not until 20 years down the road, when none of us are going to care about it anymore.
Yeah, let's not pretend like we're building a super team with all this payroll. Like, you've deferred over $1 billion of what you signed. Great, you can do it. It's allowed. But let's not pretend like this is some crazy scheme here. Like, you're just playing with the numbers to try to avoid the luxury tax. Yeah. And I got in a debate with somebody on Facebook the other day. They're like, "Oh, well, Snell signed the contract. It's not a bad deal." I said, "No, it's not a bad deal." I said, Snell got his money paid to him the way the Dodgers want to pay it. And if he's okay with that, great. If players are okay being told how they're going to get paid in a way that benefits the team, then more power to them.
Yeah.
In what world would a player defer 90% of their salary to some place down the road? Like, if you can do that, great.
Yeah. I mean, if I knew all that, I mean, it's different than us working our everyday jobs and being like, I'm going to work for $2 this week and defer the other 100 10 years down the road, right? Like, this kind of money at this magnitude, obviously it's okay to do that. You can live off $2 million a year and get the other 680 million after you're done playing baseball.
And Ohtani's a marketing machine, so it's honestly
right.
The $2 million is probably just his gambling fund money, and he lives off the endorsement money. Yeah. But I think what's important to understand is that the Dodgers are a professional organization. They are running this. They're financially engineering these contracts. Like, there's a lot of smart people behind the scenes making this work.
Absolutely.
Steve Cohen is a fan that owns his favorite team. It's like a kid in a freaking candy shop. Yeah. And yeah, he wants to win at all costs because he's a fan first. Yep. And that I think there's nothing better in sports than having an owner that's a fan. Like, as annoying as Mark Cuban is, like, there's no bigger fan of the Mavs than Cuban. As annoying as Steve Cohen might be, there's no bigger fan of the Mets than Cohen. Like, these guys are fans first, owners second. and they want to see their teams win because it matters to them in more than just money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
As
where
as Red Sox fans, we're living the other side of that. It's a corporate ownership group that is just looking at the numbers, and they're running it like a business. And we had a good run when they were trying to establish the team, but they built up the value. They made their money, and now they're sitting back and cashing it out. And if that's their prerogative. But as a fan, it sucks because those guys don't care if they win or lose. They're just managing the team.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think the Mets are even close to being done. There are still so many key pieces left. I mean, you have a couple good outfielders still left. You have some infielders that can be signed. There's some great starting pitching out there. There's some bullpen arms that some have been moved around already.
Mm-hmm.
But the Mets definitely aren't done. I do think Alonso now comes back. I kind of don't see him signing anywhere else now.
I think
really don't.
I think the question becomes: do the Mets want him back? Or do they want to go find somebody else? Do they want to go try a different person at first? But do they want Christian Walker? Do they want to go down a different path?
Yeah, and I think maybe the other side of the coin there is if another team comes in and just blows the doors off Pete Alonso, he's going to sign there. But he's kind of like Alex Bregman to me. I can't really picture him in another uniform.
It'd be hard.
Yeah.
So. And yeah, I mean, I think we agree, John. I think Alonso coming back makes sense. I thought he would be I think he's an awesome fit for the Mariners, but you're right. They won't spend that kind of money on they have not historically spent that kind of money on players. They need to, but they haven't.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess when this first started, kind of like the Ohtani deal, we undersold it. We're like, okay, Ohtani, we could see possibly getting 600 million because he does both.
Yeah. 6 to 650 seemed reasonable.
Right. And, they blow it off with 700. And same thing with Soto. We're like, okay, maybe 615 years. And that breaks it down to like 40, 40 a year, whatever. And he gets up to 765. It's just absolutely insane.
There's no baseball justification for paying him $51 million a year. Like when you look at comparable players of $51 million, he's not better than a comparable basket of guys that add up to that. No. Like this is not a talent thing. For Cohen, I need to put a flag in the ground and say, I've got a franchise player.
Yep.
And I got to overpay for that.
Yep. So that being said, where do the teams that missed out on Juan Soto, where do they pivot from here? Where do they go? So we have Red Sox, Yankees, and Blue Jays. I mean, are the Blue Jays serious contenders for any free agents? And if they lose out of this free agent market, do they sell?
The Blue Jays are in a tough spot because you can't just keep running it back with what you have. You have to go make some moves. And if you can't make some moves, you can't continue to exist as a third or fourth place finisher in the AL East year after year after year. Like you got to pick a path. You can't keep riding down the middle of the road. And the Blue Jays have money. As we saw, they were deep into this Soto thing. They were going to pay him over $700 million a year. They were prepared to. They've got money. I feel like they're a little bit like the Giants. They have money. They want to spend it. They just can't seem to land players. And I'm sure the idea of going to play in Canada, up in Toronto, like I'm sure that's not like the sexiest idea for a Major League Baseball player to go play in Toronto, which is an amazing city with a really great fan base. But like you're in Toronto, like you're not in New York, you're not in Boston, you're not in LA, you're not like you're not in a premier market. You're in Toronto, and that's I think a little bit underwhelming to sell to players. But I think they're in a spot, Nick, to your point, where if they don't sign a couple of big free agents and make a push this offseason, they've got to decide if it's not time to sell off some pieces and rebuild.
Yeah, I see if they don't, they don't land one of these pitchers, they don't land Santander or Teoscar, I see them selling Guerrero at the trade deadline because he right now is going to give you the biggest package back. And
he had such a good year too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's going to be hard for them to part with him because, he's putting butts in seats. But at some point you got to be like, hey, we haven't won with these guys. We haven't won with this core. No one wants to come here. We have to build within. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, you've done a lot of nothing with a extremely talented and exciting core, and at some point you just have to agree to the fact that it doesn't work, and we got to try something else.
Yep. All right, where did the Yankees pivot from here?
I mean, I think the Yankees and Red Sox are going to pivot to the same places. They're going to start calling Santander, Bregman. They're going to be calling about Burns, about Fried. I feel like we're going to see the Red Sox and the Yankees now, like they used to, doing battle for the other top free agents remaining. Yeah. I think the Blue Jays are calling on all those guys too. Whether they land them or not, I don't know. The one player in all this, though, that's kind of quietly stayed under the radar, because I think people just assumed he'd go back to LA, is Teoscar Hernandez. The market for Hernandez just blew up. Yeah. I mean, you've now got the Yankees who are looking for a power hitting outfielder. The Red Sox are looking for a power hitting outfielder. A right-handed bat would be really nice for both of them. I feel like we're going to see the old school Yankee Red Sox battles over free agents. And I think that Teoscar and Santander are going to be the beneficiaries of it, because they're going to have two big market teams that are coming at them aggressively right now because they have to have a plan B.
Yeah, the Red Sox and Yankees need the same exact things. They need an outfielder, exactly. They need a second baseman, and they need starting pitching. Like that's what, and bullpen help. Both teams need bullpen help. Like, it's going to be, I think, an all-out battle now between those two for the rest of these guys. And we'll see if the Red Sox stop being in on these guys and actually sign. Or they just continue to drive the price up for the Yankees like they do year after year after year and never sign anybody. I hope the Red Sox do something to make this team better, because, like you said, as fans of the Red Sox, it has been frustrating as all hell watching them be in on these guys to possibly make your team better, and then ultimately be like, nah, we're good. Like, I'm tired of that. Like, we have glaring holes, and our lineup can hit. That Red Sox lineup can hit.
They score runs.
But you need a second baseman. We haven't had a second baseman since Dustin Pedroia got taken out by Manny Machado, and we just need that one outfield spot. Left field is wide open for the taking.
Yep.
Teoscar could fit there. Anthony Santander can fit there. I would take either one of those two. I personally would prefer Santander because he's a switch hitter and he'd be in the lineup every day.
Yeah.
Not saying Teoscar wouldn't be in the lineup every day, but I think being a switch hitter, hitting 40 plus bombs at Oriole Park, last year also helps that cause. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to be greedy. I'll take either one. But I think the Red Sox and Yankees get those two guys. If, the Yankees get Santander, Red Sox get Teoscar, and vice versa. I believe at this point that's where they're going to end up. Doesn't mean they won't end up somewhere else. Not what I'm saying. I have a feeling that's where those two are going to land.
Yeah, there's a high likelihood the Red Sox and Yankees split the majority of the top tier 8 free agents left. So I could see, you're going to have Flaherty, Burns, Fried. There's probably one of those guys ends up in Boston, one in New York, and one somewhere else. Probably the other one goes to the Mets. You're going to see Santander and Teoscar probably get split. I could see both teams going heavy after Bregman now. It's going to be interesting. And I think that, as much as Soto's market doesn't determine their market, I think the need right now, because Soto went somewhere else, is so apparent on some teams. Those guys are going to benefit from how badly these teams are going to need their skill set.
Yep.
And if Teoscar ends up going back to LA and re-signs there, that's going to blow a hole in somebody's offseason plan, because the Red Sox are in a similar spot to the Blue Jays. If you don't go make some moves this offseason and put this team back on a competitive platform, I don't know what's next for them. You can't continue to just exist like they have for the last 4 years. Like, you gotta get better. You gotta be better than that.
Yeah. Another wild card in this too, I guess not really a wild card, but is Walker Buehler. So he's got ties to the Yankees as well. So, I mean, him and Cole back to back would be pretty decent 1-2 punch here in the AL East. But
I mean, you got Buehler, you got Flaherty, you got Burns, you got Fried. You got some arms out there. You got
There's some,
Crochet available via trade.
yeah, we'll get to him in a little bit for sure, but and we'll also get to Bregman also in a little bit and break that down. But
Question though, Nick. So does that, with the Yankees losing on Soto, does that make them more likely to go after Alonso now over Walker? Are you gonna try to go find another power bat? Or does another right-handed bat in your lineup just not move the needle?
I think for the Yankees, if I was the Yankees, I would go after Christian Walker simply because he's not just a power bat. Like he tends to have a higher batting average than Alonso. He has a little more contact in his game. He can still, hit the 30 plus bombs. And I don't know if the Yankees are ready to get into another bidding war, to be completely honest.
Fair.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, as I just said that they were going to get into bidding wars with the Red Sox, but I mean, I don't know. I see Pete Alonso kind of settling back into the Mets. I just really do. I don't know if he goes to the Yankees unless they blow his socks off, like I said. But I see the Yankees kind of going after Christian Walker more than I do Alonso.
I think Walker makes sense because to your point, he's a better overall hitter than Alonso, who is a strikeout machine. Also very good defensively. And
yes, goal.
After the fifth inning of Game 5, I think the Yankees are going to put a little pressure on defense,
as they should, for sure. So. All right. So with this Soto money and the Ohtani contract, everything the Dodgers are doing, the unlimited payroll that Cohen has, and all of this, how long will the next lockout be, Harrison? Will owners want a salary cap? Is the first question I'm going to ask you.
Yes, I think that I think this next negotiation is going to be a lot more contentious because you have, as we said last week, you have probably half the league who's not even in on free agents anymore. They're out. They cannot possibly fathom signing these contracts. I mean, the contract that Juan Soto just signed, he'll have a higher net worth than 5 or 6 of the owners will.
Right.
Like baseball went from a relatively controlled economic platform with longtime owners to just an explosion of money that is pushing a lot of those owners out and just bringing in a whole different set of billionaires who are just not afraid to throw money at it. I think that a certain number of owners are going to be basically saying, if you don't put a salary cap in place, I got to sell because I can't stay in the game.
Yeah.
And it would not be good. It would devalue teams if you all of a sudden had like 5 or 6 owners had to sell. Yeah. I mean, we're already seeing, the Twins are on the market for that reason. They can't keep up. You're going to see other teams hit the market too, because ownership just can't keep up with the pace of what's happening right now.
Yeah. So I agree. I think the owners are going to push hard for a salary cap. But then the second question that I have, will the MLBPA allow that? I think this is where the contention is going to come, and the lockout is going to be, we're going to be in for the long haul, because I don't see the MLBPA giving in on that, being like, no, like our players are the highest paid in, professional sports, maybe even in the world at this point. I mean, they got to be starting to rival soccer at this point.
Yeah.
With that contract. I mean, maybe not. I know nothing about soccer, disclaimer.
But soccer's berserk. The money's even crazier.
Yeah.
But it's all at the top. Like it's like a dozen players make like 80% of all the salary in the entire league.
Yeah. So will the MLBPA push back and not allow that? That's where I see this lockout really dragging out. And this isn't for 2026, after the 2026 season.
You're still a couple years out.
Yeah.
But I think the only way you get MLBPA to buy off on the salary cap, because you're right, they'll never agree to it. The only way to get a salary cap in place is to counter that with a salary floor. But what you have to show the Players Association is that the total money available, the total pie to the players, is the same as it was.
Right.
Because when people hear salary cap, you think, oh man, you're going to stop the spending. So you're limiting how much of that pie these players get. Well, no, if you put a cap at the top and a floor at the bottom to make other teams spend more, well, the big teams spend less, and you can offset the two. You can show the fact that there's the same amount of dollars available to players
Right.
because the Oakland Athletics can't have a $50 million payroll anymore.
Well, they don't,
They
but
don't anymore, but you can't have 4 or 5 teams, spending 40 or 50 million bucks on players. The irony of it is one of the teams that's an offender of that is the Orioles because they've got all that young talent. But if the only way to make that work is to be able to show the fact that you're not going to cut into the players pool at all. And if you can show that, MLBPA's gonna have a really tough time making that argument and not looking like fools to the public.
yeah. So this last question before we move on, do you think both sides like where these contracts are at this point?
No, I think this is a nightmare for MLB because you have, as great as it is for the health of the game and all that stuff and the headlines. I mean, nothing better for baseball than the headlines of Ohtani and the Soto chase. And this is like going back to the days of NBA with LeBron's whole where is he going to take his talents nonsense too. This is great on one hand for MLB. It's great for the Players Association. It's great on one hand for MLB because of the attention that it's drawing. It's bad for MLB because you're taking the parity you've created and beginning to push it again. And you can't have half of your teams go into the offseason and sit on their hands.
Yeah.
And that's what you have. Right now, you've got 17 teams have signed 0 free agents right now. They're not even participating in the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I said it last week. Like they're not even going into the office every day because they're like, there's no point.
Why? Yeah. I laugh. I think of the clips of the GM for like the Giants during the Saquon Barkley thing, talking to Saquon. Like, I feel like that's how all these GMs are. Like, will you give us a shot? No, I'm done. I'm not calling. I don't want to talk to you guys. Like, I know you can't pay me. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. And there is no next one.
No, and
it just isn't.
No, and I said this last week. I don't know who the next player coming up in free agency would demand as much as Soto just got. Like I can't think of one because all the stars right now are locked up. So like this could be the highest that we see in quite some time because I can't think of another player of Soto's caliber, Ohtani's caliber that would demand this much money over this amount of time. I mean, Soto's an outlier. He came up when he was 19, reaches free agency at 26. You're seeing now a lot of these guys are hitting free agency around 28, 29. So they're not seeking a 15-year contract. They're like, hey, I just got to get 6 years. Get me to 36 years old and I'll figure it out from there. Right? This is such an outlier. I don't know when the next one's going to be. It's not going to be Bobby Witt Jr. He's locked up for 14 years.
Right.
It's not going to be Julio Rodriguez. He's locked up for 12. So
right.
Like the young guys are locked up, which is also smart by these lower market teams. The Rays did it with
those deals look like bargains now. I mean, my God.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at is like, the Rays did that with Evan Longoria. And we're like, man, they just stole him for 13 years or whatever that contract was. Like Longoria got robbed. But
and then the Rays locked up Wander Franco and then he got locked up again.
Yeah. But I just like that's the only way a lower market team is going to be able to sort of compete is like you have a Bobby Witt Jr. come up. We under no circumstances can we let this kid go. We have to extend him and we have to extend him till he's 39. Heck, extend him till he's 53 just to make sure he doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's the only way they're going to be able to compete and have a centerpiece to bring butts to put in their seats.
I mean, think about the season Bobby Witt Jr. just had.
Yeah.
And he is at an average annual value of $26.2 million. He's making almost half of what Soto is. And I would take Bobby Witt Jr. over Soto right now because he does everything.
Yeah.
Like I look at the Mookie Betts contract, 12 years, 365. I would take that contract any day because I feel like Mookie Betts is the better overall player.
Right. 5 tool.
But Juan Soto is making more than Betts and Witt combined. Like, let that sink into your brain for a minute. That's insanity.
It's wild. It's insanity. It's wild. Yeah. And, kind of going back to the Sox again. Like I'm kind of glad we didn't get Juan Soto. Would
At
he have
those
been?
numbers, yeah.
Yeah. Would he have been incredible to watch in Boston? Yeah, absolutely. I
Sure.
would have loved it. But we can now essentially, if they decide to, get 3 or 4 top tier players for that amount of money and
Yep.
fill the holes that we need, or any team need. The Yankees need, the Giants need. Like all those teams can now spend that money and pivot on more holes in their team that they can plug and get them to the postseason.
That's the thing. I
Signing
mean,
Juan Soto only wasn't going to do that.
no, and if and back to the comments earlier about the Mets, if the Mets sign Juan Soto and stop right here, they don't make the playoffs next year. It's like we talked about with Juan Soto. If the White Sox sign Juan Soto right now, he might improve them by 5 or 10 games, and that's an extremely low bar to work from. He doesn't. He by himself does not make a team that much better. You have to be able to build around him. Thankfully, Cohen's got the money to do that. But this is only a good deal for the Mets if they go build around him and put together a competitive product. Otherwise, they're going to finish third in the NL East and keep wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. Let's get into some of the other free agents that have signed this week. We got a long list, so strap in.
Yeah.
So
in the biggest no-brainer of the entire offseason.
Right. So last week was crazy because we put out, the Giants weren't even in this conversation last week. It was the Astros, it was the Phillies, and it was the Red Sox. But Harrison and I, during our free agent prediction show, was like, this was the easiest one to pick. We were like, Adames to the Giants, moving on. Because they've needed a shortstop since Crawford left. So
yeah, and they got so much out of Crawford in the time he was there. Like that was such a critical opening.
Yeah. So 7 years, 182 million. Giants finally get their free agent. After Arson Judge. Well, that's all of these, just to let you guys know. Yeah. Another disclaimer. So, so they missed out on Arson Judge, and then they signed Correa. He fails his physical. So that whole mess with Correa, that was crazy. Finally,
the Giants have dodged a bullet with Correa because he's proven to still be not able to get on the field.
Yep. So kudos to the Giants medical team for that one. So
yeah, you saved him.
But yeah, I think this is a great signing for the Giants. I mean, you got to do something in that NL West to compete with the Padres and Dodgers. I mean, even the Diamondbacks. I mean, they've showed flashes of how good they can be. Yeah. So the Giants got to do something to stay up with those other 3 teams in that division.
That's a pretty good left side of the infield with Chapman and Adames.
Yeah, I'd take that.
I mean, I know Adames has been a little inconsistent at shortstop, and he did not have his best defensive year last year, but he's one of those guys that he gets to a lot of balls that he shouldn't, makes a lot of great plays. With Chapman next to him, that's going to be a tough left side of the infield to get a ball through.
If you put just Matt Chapman on the left side of the infield, it's a tough one to get through. So
that's fair.
This is great. Good for the Giants. I'm glad that they got, a big piece, and he's gonna do well out there. I know he is. So
yeah, I think he's such a talented guy. But again, like the Brewers, every offseason, I feel like there's some big blow, somebody that they lose, and they come back the next year, make the playoffs anyways. Yeah. They're trying to trade Devin Williams. He'll likely move. I mean, maybe the Brewers aren't a playoff team next year, but I feel like every time we think they aren't, they are.
Yeah. I'm done ruling them out.
Exactly. Like I'm tired of thinking this is the year they finally fall. They finally collapse.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's this was like the first one of the week, and we're like, wait, what?
Yeah, is that a typo?
We're like, no way. So Luis Severino signs with the A's for 3 years, $67 million, largest guarantee in A's history.
Isn't that scary to think that's the largest guarantee in the team's history?
Yeah,
that stat blew me away more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. So Severino's goes to Sacramento / LA / Salt Lake City / Las Vegas, wherever they're gonna end
and
up.
Maybe eventually Vegas. We'll see. I mean, by the time that contract's over, they'll be moving into Vegas. So
yeah,
he probably 25. Yeah, he won't even pitch in Vegas. He'll be a free agent before they move to Vegas.
But this one, he must not have gotten any other offers. I don't know what the draw to the A's is, because looking at it from the outside, like I I don't know if there's a lot pulling me towards the A's. Like, was it strictly the money? Was he not going to get that on the open market, maybe? And the A's just blew him away, and he was like, "Yep, I'll take the bag." I,
I think, I mean, I don't, I mean, honestly, like, that's not, was that 22.5 million bucks a year? Like, that's not like a blow you away payday. Um, but I don't think there's a lot of, I don't think there's a ton of interest for him. But I also believe this is the start. I feel like the A's are going to do more things. And, you know, you've got Lawrence Butler and Brent Rooker and Mason Miller. Like, you've got some studs
yeah.
that you need to put some pieces around. That team wasn't terrible last year. They were better than expected. I feel like he's the start. I wouldn't be shocked if you see the A's grab another player or two and slowly begin to get serious. Because I mean, we've said it all along. The minute Fisher leaves Oakland, he's going to start spending on this team because the guy's got the money.
Right.
It was never about the money with him. He refused to win in that city for that local group of politicians. He just wasn't going to win there. It was a bad situation. He wanted out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're not done yet.
Yeah, and maybe that's the pitch the A's, told Severino. Was like, "Hey, your piece, we're going to start building this franchise, and we want you to come in and be our ace or be our number 2 behind JP Sears." Like, maybe that's what the pitch was, and he was like, "Okay, 22 and a half, sure, I'll take it. Thanks."
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good deal for Severino. I'm not saying he couldn't have gotten it somewhere else, but I do think there's more to this story. I do think there's a good young core. Fisher's got money. You know, I feel like there is some activity happening there, and this team's not done yet.
Well, and let's face it, I said it last week. The AL West is wide open.
Yeah,
The Astros aren't the Astros of old.
the Astros are slowly dismantling.
Yep. The Mariners couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. The Rangers are all on the IL. I mean, the Angels, who knows what's going on with that organization? I mean, they've made some moves to try to get better. I think the AL West is wide open. Do I think the A's are going to win the AL West? No. But it is open for the taking. And if they make some other moves this offseason, they could be more competitive than we've seen them in years past.
I agree. And I think that even just the addition of Severino, you're probably 4 or 5 games better. And now all of a sudden you're not a joke. You're a pretty serious team. I mean, and they weren't bad this year.
No.
You know, that's a team that I think has got an incredible amount of young talent that surprises people.
They always have. I mean, you think about the arms that they've brought up through their farm system and then eventually traded away or lost to free agency. I mean, you've brought up Chapman, you've brought up Eric Chavez, you've brought up Matt Olson, you brought up Sean Murphy. Like, then you got Hudson, Mulder, Zito. You got all like Heron, Harden, and I'm missing the other one there. But there's so many. Lucas Ersteg that got traded to the Royals. Like, that dude threw triple digits. He was in Oakland. Mason Miller throws 115 miles an hour. So, I mean, the A's development is good. Like, we're seeing young guys come up. They just don't retain them. Maybe they start retaining them. I don't know.
I mean,
we'll see.
If they put a product on the field, people will come out and watch them. Fisher's got money to spend. Like, I think that the formula for the A's is going to change and it's going to get better. Question becomes, how fast does it get better? Is it like we're going to try to be a contender next year, or like we're going to take a bite this year and a bite next year and a bite the year after that, and by the time we get to Vegas, we're going to be good?
You know what I really want this next year in 2025? I want an A's Rays ALCS where it is not in a single MLB ballpark. There is not a single playoff game in that series in an MLB ballpark. Do you think
they'd have them like play at a neutral site just to like put them in a major league ballpark?
I think they would, for sure.
Because like neither one of them is gonna be playing, like, I guess the Rays are gonna be playing in Tampa at least, but like they're not really like in their home market, so like it doesn't matter where they play.
Yeah, it would be like,
oh my god, that'd be awesome. A's and Rays in the playoffs.
Yeah.
in minor league ballparks.
Yeah. I think they would do it like they did in 2020 with like Globe Life. They'd put him at a neutral site for sure. But
Oh
yeah,
man, that'd be amazing.
crazy. Yeah. All right, Harrison. Aroldis Chapman, 1 year, $10.5 million to the Red Sox. What was your initial thoughts when this came through your phone?
My initial thought was this is an incredible signing 6 years ago. Honestly, I think it's the two thoughts come to mind. One is like this is the state of the Red Sox bullpen where Aroldis Chapman is an upgrade. And two, Aroldis Chapman still throws gas and is still feared by hitters. He's not the same guy he was, but you look at his numbers and he's still a very effective bullpen arm. I just don't want to see him in high leverage situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, $10 million for Aroldis Chapman in the eighth inning, seventh, eighth inning in a high leverage in a important situation, not a high leverage save situation. They could do worse, but it's not an exciting one.
Yeah, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. My biggest one is the character part of Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, he is a.
I don't know how he fits with the Red Sox organization, and I say that because of how the Red Sox kind of treated Alex Verdugo on his way out of town.
Yeah,
so I'm wondering how he fits on a personal level. I'm not in the clubhouse, obviously. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you guys about baseball. But the character does worry me. On the field, it is what it is. Like you said, it's a little bit of an upgrade. It's better than what we got.
So. I mean, it's a low bar. You could have Luis Garcia back, who couldn't get anybody out, or you could roll with Aroldis Chapman. And I just for the character thing for me, it's the Red Sox have a lot of young guys that have come up and that are playing important roles. Yep. This is not a great influence to have around. He's a genuinely not terribly well liked guy. He doesn't have a great background. He's gotten himself into a lot of trouble. I'll be curious how he fits, but I think at the same time, for $10 million, if he's a train wreck, they'll trade him or dump him.
Yep.
And it's not a big deal.
Yeah, which he's been moved at the last 2 or 3 deadlines at least.
I don't. Has that guy finished the season with the team he started with in the last 5 years?
Because I know he signed with the Royals, got dealt to the Rangers that year, I think, and then signed with the Pirates, got moved to somewhere. I mean,
he signed a bunch of deals to basically get moved.
Yeah.
So. I mean, again, he's one of those guys who, he's got value. He can, he still throws gas, but he's not the same guy he used to be.
Right. From the left side too. So, I mean, that's always a plus, but
yes.
All right. Moving on. Here we go. We're going to get into the Dodgers a little bit here. Michael Conforto signs with the Dodgers, 1 year, $17 million. And newsflash, none of it deferred.
I mean, I didn't think the Dodgers could pay a contract straight up, but good to see that somebody's going to get all their money.
So, yep. Dodgers are reportedly still in on Teoscar Hernandez, even with this signing.
They're in on everybody.
But, well, right, obviously.
It doesn't even matter.
But there are other reports saying that the Dodgers and Teoscar are kind of miles apart. So we'll see if he ends up there.
I think the fans would be really disappointed if he didn't come back. I think he became a pretty quick fan favorite.
Yeah, I think he had one of the best years of his career too last year. I mean,
that was a career year for him for sure.
Yep. I mean, also helps when you have Freeman, Ohtani, Betts, all those guys in front of you.
Yep.
Behind you, like it does help quite a bit, but yeah. So Conforto signs with the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers re-sign. Oh, go ahead.
Conforto though, real quick, like I'm mixed on Conforto. Like I feel like he's a good hitter in streaks, but you look at his numbers at the end of the year and you kind of go, meh, like nothing, pretty average, pretty down the middle.
Yeah, I think when he was with the Mets and then got injured, the Giants signed him. He's kind of gone into the background and hasn't really become the player that everyone expected him to be. I mean, he's still a nice piece, and for the Dodgers that can move everybody around, he can fill an outfield spot. You have Betts, you have Edman, you have Muncy, all those guys, Kike Hernandez. You have all those guys that can play multiple positions. So it's like, hey, we need to give Mookie a day off. It's like, okay, we move Edmund to short, we put Conforto in right. Okay, we need to give Edmund a day off. Mookie's at short, Conforto's in like it's just
Yeah.
another piece for the Dodgers to play with. And I mean it's great for 1 year, 17 million. Like, why not?
Yeah, I mean he's an average of the last 3 years he's an average of a 1 WAR player. Like he's
Yeah,
just a hair above average. But
yeah,
2023 with the Giants, he played in 125 games, hit 239 with 15 and 58. Last year played in 130 games for the Giants, hit 237, 20 and 66.
yeah. So
So he's a 1 WAR just above average player.
yeah. But he's also, I mean, not that Dodger Stadium's any smaller than
Right.
out there in San Francisco, but hitting in big ballparks doesn't help with the power numbers. But I mean, like I said, I think it's more of like a flexible piece for the Dodgers to play with as the season rolls on. Guys are gonna get hurt.
Yep.
Guys are gonna need days off, and that's what this signing does. Gives you just more flexibility. So
Yeah, and it seems to be the Dodgers value, elite talent and then a bunch of guys that are flexible after that.
Yep.
Because they just want to move pieces around. Because honestly, when you look at the construction of their lineup, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman are going to do the heavy lifting for you. Everybody else just has to play a part. Because that lineup outside of them and Will Smith is not great, but they don't have to be.
No,
they just have to not be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, if you get playoff Tommy Edman all year, like everybody's in trouble.
Yeah, but where the hell is that guy his whole career?
Yeah,
like you got a guy that was absolutely out of his mind.
Yeah, it's crazy. So then the Dodgers also re-signed Blake Trinan. I mean, this was kind of a slam dunk layup. I mean, Trinan was a huge anchor in the back of that bullpen. He wasn't going anywhere. Just one with him, and his stuff is filthy.
Freaking slider is absurd.
Yeah, it's not even fair. So,
and I mean, he's the kind of guy, he can close games for you. He can come in the sixth. Like he can come in. You can use him wherever.
Yep. Yeah, you can bring him in high leverage.
Is Kopech still under contract?
I believe so.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be the closer.
Yeah. So,
you go Trinan in the 8th and Kopech in the 9th, you could do worse, or vice versa.
Yeah,
I probably would actually put Trinan. I'd probably put Trinan in the 9th. He's more trusted.
Yeah. So, all right, this one was, I mean, I guess not shocking to me, but Shane Bieber goes back to the Guardians, 1 year, $14 million. I mean, he's just been hurt ever since his Cy Young in 2020, where, he made 12, 15 starts, whatever the amount of starts were in that 60-game season.
Which is all his body can seem to handle in a season.
Right. So it does have an option for 2026, depending on how 2025 goes. But I mean, the Red Sox were reportedly in on him.
Yep.
But again, this would be like your ultimate high risk, high reward pickup if another team signed him. Like the Guardians know what they're getting with Shane Bieber. They've seen it. Other teams, have they seen it? Sure. I mean, everybody sees everybody play now, but
you've seen him.
Right. But you just don't know like what he comes with injury wise. And he's just been hurt too often. I mean, he was my Cy Young pick this year too. It was like, all right, he was hurt all of the year before. So he's going to come back. He's going to dominate. And then he's done in the first week. So, I mean, 1 year, $14 million to go back. Sure. I don't know if he was going to get $14 million from any other team, to be honest, because of the injury history.
Yeah. That's a bit of a gamble I mean, $14 million for a guy with his arm is cheap. He'd be making 2.5 times that on the open market if he was healthy. But for a guy with his track record, that's not chump change. And apparently the market for him was very thin. It was really just the Red Sox who were calling on him. Red Sox are not afraid to take a flyer on players like that. Look at James Paxton. Look at some of the deals they've signed. Liam Hendricks. Like they're not afraid to sign a guy who's hurt, knowing that there's going to be some give and take there with the second year. But great signing for the Guardians. If he's healthy, that's a steal. If he's not, then you just pissed away $14 million. But you knew that going into it. Like you have to assume with Bieber that you're not going to get much more than 18 to 20 starts out of him ever.
Hopefully 18 to 20.
That's the high water mark for him is half to 2/3 a season.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
he's another Jacob deGrom.
Don't even get me started with that one. But all right, couple Orioles signings here. Tyler O'Neill goes from the Red Sox to the Orioles here. 3 years, $49.5 million. Opt out after year 1. I don't know if that's a player option or a team option or mutual. I don't know
It's
that just
I'm
enough.
pretty sure it's his opt out. He can opt
Okay.
out.
Okay. So if he goes in and has a bang up year, then he can opt out and get
Yeah,
money.
kind of like that Bellinger deal. Like, hey, if I come in and I rake, I'm leaving. If I don't, then I got the security of falling back on years 2 and 3.
Yep. 3 years, 49.5 though. I mean, not bad for him. I mean, good for
No,
him.
no, I mean, and he proved in Boston last year that when healthy, he's a terror. But again, another guy, you got to say when healthy or if healthy, because he's not. He misses a lot of time.
Mhm.
You know, the Red Sox had Duvall the year before last, who raked and then got hurt. They had O'Neill last year, who would rake and then get hurt multiple times. There's a lot of these guys out here that are 100-game-a-year guys that will put up some numbers, but it's hard to build a team with guys that you can't count on. And the Red Sox, thankfully, last year had some depth, but again, they finished at 500. So what does it really do for you? But your problem wasn't hitting; it
Right.
was pitching.
Right.
But it's hard to build a team around a guy like Tyler O'Neill when you know you're not going to get more than 100 to 120 games out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the Orioles also sign Gary Sanchez, 1 year, $8.5 million here. Backup for Rushman, or you think he's a fallback DH if Santander doesn't come back? And what would you do with him?
I mean, I think Gary Sanchez is he's a backup to Rushman, but Rushman doesn't need a lot of time off the field. And then I think he's a DH in there. I think you signed Sanchez. Sanchez defensively is a train wreck.
Yeah.
You don't want him behind the plate any more than he has to be. He still has some pop in that bat. So I view Sanchez as he's going to give Rushman a day off now and then. He's going to DH now and then. He's going to be a pinch hitter. You are hoping that he loses a few balls for you at big times. But that's really all he's going to be.
Yeah. And the Orioles are moving their left field wall back in. So, they're loading up on these right-handed power bats.
Well, yeah, I
again,
mean,
being like,
O'Neill,
all right, here we go.
Sanchez, like they're clearly going right-handed.
Yeah. So.
And that was actually one of the knocks they had against Santander is that 3/4 of his home runs came from the left-handed side. They need more right-handed power. I wouldn't throw a guy away who hits 30 plus home runs from the left side, but maybe maybe they do. But yeah, they really put a premium on finding some right-handed power this offseason, and that's what they've got. And
well, I mean, they are left-handed.
great.
They are left-handed heavy. Like you got, you got Holiday, you got Kowser, you got Kierstead, you got Gunnar Henderson. They're all left-handed. So like you do need some righties in that lineup to kind of balance them out. So.
You do. I mean, you do, and it helps the pitching matchups and all that. But
right
at the same time, like Santander, who is a switch hitter, you don't lose a lot when he goes to the right-hand side. Rushman, you don't lose a lot when he goes to the right-hand side.
No.
But at the same time, like I know what they're trying to do, and Sanchez could be great for them, or it could be a train wreck. He is very much a wild card.
Yep.
But the one thing he can still do is hit a ball a long way.
Yep. That is for sure. All right. Speaking of the Mets, we'll come back to the Mets here. Clay Holmes signs 3 years, $38 million. And reportedly, the Mets want to put him in the rotation.
Well, they have to because they've got nobody.
Well, facts. I mean, you got Kodai Senga and everybody else left for free agency. So
yeah, you got like McGill and guys like that who are like fringe guys, but you don't have a clear staff right now.
Well, and Frankie Montas, they did sign him last week.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, they did sign Montas.
But I mean, he couldn't even get guys out in one inning. How does he translate to a starter? How do you see this going?
I think the only thing I can come up with to make this make sense is the fact that Holmes struggled in high leverage situations. He struggled with runners on late in games. As a starter, you're coming into the first. You start off with a clean inning every inning. You just have to go out there and pitch and get outs. And if you give up a bomb in the first inning, well, the game's not over. So I think the Mets. I mean, his stuff is great. I mean, Holmes is really good stuff.
Yeah.
He was struggling to locate it. and he made way too many 2-strike mistakes, and Yankees fans can give you a whole rant on what happened with him, but his stuff is good. And I think if you can get the pressure off of him to say, hey, look, go out there and throw us 5 innings. Don't get lit up, give up 3 or 4 runs, we'll be okay. I think he might translate well to a starter because his issue was when the games got tight, his stuff fell apart. Because I think the high leverage situations are a different animal, first of all. And secondly, doing it in New York is also a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
He's not losing New York going across the town, but going to be into a starting role. Like, it's not life or death if you give up a bomb in the 4th. It is if you do that in the 8th.
Yeah, that's fair point.
That's the only thing I can come up with to make it make sense.
Yeah. And as the Mets proved in the playoffs, they're never out of a single game. So, I mean, down by 3 doesn't matter. We'll score 4 in the 9th and win.
No.
Crazy.
They are not.
So, yeah, I don't know if maybe it's just because I am a Yankee hater and I just don't think he's going to translate to a starter. I mean, I could be wrong. You're right. Like, his stuff can be dominant, and maybe a pitching coach change is what he needs. Sometimes that's all it is. These guys switch teams and then all of a sudden something clicks and they're lights out. So
it's a change of scenery. It's a pitch. It's a mechanical thing, a pitching coach. It's something, but for him getting out of the Bronx is probably good.
Yeah. So interesting.
Although it does seem interesting, the fact that the Mets have signed the only big signings of the Mets have been Clay Holmes and Juan Soto, both Yankees.
Right. And Frankie Montas.
Kicking them across town.
And Frankie Montas was with the Yankees too.
That's true. Yeah, they're just plucking him from the Yankees.
He came from the Reds, I think.
He did. I think he made 1 start for the Yankees.
Yeah, or the Brewers. Where did Montas end up last year? It might have been the Brewers. I don't remember. He's been all over the place. But
he's the last few years he's been traded a lot.
Yeah. All right. So Red Sox lose Danny Jansen to the Rays. Is he our next Mr. AL East? This will be
shaping up to be. I mean,
his 3rd AL East team in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, hell, 3rd in 2 years.
No, well, right. Yeah.
I mean, he's working his way around the AL East. I mean, I love the fact you said, the Red Sox lost him to the Rays. The Red Sox were never making any attempt to retain him because he was terrible when he showed up.
Yeah.
And I still laugh at that trade. Like, when they made that trade, my initial reaction to you was like, why? Like, you've already got the same play in Reese McGuire. So all you did was trade for Jansen, DFA McGuire, put him in the minor leagues, lose Jansen, probably bring McGuire back up. What did you accomplish in all this? But playing like musical chairs with a couple of catchers. I never got it, but he was a guy who was projected to be a much better catcher than he's turned out to be. He still may be good, but to the Rays, I mean, who cares?
Yeah. This is the Rays' big splash on the offseason right here. 1 year, $8.5 million.
Is. I mean, they traded Siri already. They brought in Jansen. Like, that team is going to be a shell. And is McClanahan due back sometime this year?
I hope so. I miss watching that guy pitch, but I don't know when he's coming back from Tommy John.
I mean, the Rays are going to be miserable to watch this year. I mean, as many young players as they're bringing up, I just think they're going to be miserable this year.
Yeah. All right. And then today, the Tigers signed Alex Cobb to a 1-year deal. Will the Tigers use the momentum from their playoff run this year to sign more free agents this offseason? What are your thoughts on that?
I'd like to believe so. I'd like to believe the Tigers are going to make a couple of moves to fill some holes. I just don't know to what extent they've got the ability to do that.
Are they still strapped with a Baez contract? Is that kind of?
I think it's 2 things. One, that ownership group's a little bit of a mess. It's still the Ilitch family, if I remember correctly. The Little Caesars fortune. Mm-hmm. And they've never been like big free spenders. They have at times, but not consistently. You do still have the Baez contract, which is a nightmare. If they can get rid of that, I think it changes things. But I think they've got some money to spend. I just don't know how deep they can actually go. But Cobb's a nice addition. And you're banking on young talent getting better. The other hard part with this team is that if you go sign veterans and take the place of some of these young guys who've come up, like, what do you do to that dynamic of the team? Like, if you start benching these young players because you're bringing in higher priced veterans, what message does that send? Does that mess up what this team had going? Like, you got to be careful how much you mess with what worked last year, because that team clicked. And as young as they are and as inexperienced as they were, it didn't matter because they played really good baseball together. And if you mess with that chemistry, you may completely screw that team up.
Yeah, I think this is a clutch sign. I wouldn't say clutch signing, but it's a good signing for the Tigers because, as we saw in the playoffs, they have one starter that can go more than 3 innings, and
Yeah, that's
that's
it.
Tyreek Skubal, right? I mean, to bring in a guy that can give you 5 or 6 innings, so you're not spending your bullpen for 4 days in between Skubal starts, I think it is huge. Do the Tigers have other starting pitching? Yes, obviously
Sure.
they do. And who knows? Jackson Job, is it Jackson? I think it's another Jackson, right?
Yeah, person's another Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's like 5 Jacksons that came up last year. So
All at the same time, too.
yeah. So I think adding another pitcher that can give you hopefully a little bit of length in these games is just going to save your bullpen. And like you said, you're not messing with the youth of your everyday position players.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And Cobb is a 37-year-old veteran.
yep.
He's been around the block. He knows what's expected of him. He's not going to come in and screw up a clubhouse. Like, he's a guy you can safely add and be like, yeah, this will be fine. Like, he's been around the block. He knows what to do. This will be his 14th season.
Yeah.
He's not a high risk signing. I would love to see them go and add like a Walker Buehler to round this thing off, but I don't know how deep they can go or how comfortable they are kind of messing with what they had.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a free agent starting pitcher, like obviously, yes, the big market teams are most likely going to give me the biggest bag.
Sure.
But if I want to go somewhere and be a stud behind a Cy Young award winner in Skubal and be a dynamic 1-2 punch, I'm thinking about it. I might tell my agent, be like,
is pretty friendly.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, also, playing in, as Sean would always say, Yellowstone Park also helps the ERA quite a bit. So
it doesn't hurt.
I don't know. Maybe I'm telling my agent, hey, can you check on the Tigers for me and see if they would even be interested? And if they're not, they're not. You move on.
Yeah, and I also think that being a part of a team like that is so young, that is exciting, that is dynamic, would be fun. Like, this is not and I'm going to get crap for this, but like the Dodgers play a very boring brand of baseball. Get on base, hit home runs, pitch well enough to win. Like, not an exciting game. The Tigers are, they're winning with singles, stolen bases, bunts, sac flies. Like, this is a team that manufactures and creates. That's a fun brand of baseball. It's also a challenging brand of baseball, but it's fun.
Right. Yeah, agree.
Grinding it out every day, not just showing up at the ballpark wondering who's going to hit the 3-run home run today.
Yeah. All right. Also today, Philly signed Jordan Romano. So this one's kind of interesting because he was projected to earn $7.75 million in arbitration, but was non-tendered by the Blue Jays. So then he just becomes a free agent, and then now the Phillies pick him up. I
don't get why the Blue Jays would just be like let him walk.
This tells me that they're already pretty much in sell mode, I guess.
Yeah, there's something about him they don't like, but I've not seen anything not to like.
Yeah, he throws triple digits out of the back end of that bullpen. He's been closing games for them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but good for the Phillies. The Phillies needed some bullpen arms, and they got Estevez at the trade deadline last year. They got Hoffman still there, and they just pick up Romano. So good for the Phillies there. But yeah, just a kind of interesting one there to just not pick up his arbitration for this year. But
yeah, I don't understand just letting him just walk away. I mean, he wasn't great last year. I mean, he had an ERA of over 6.5. Like,
that will do it.
But he didn't pitch much. But like, he's been under 3 the whole rest of his career.
Yeah.
It's like, it was a bit of a blip last year, but there's something, I think, in that they just don't like. I mean, he had 8 saves last year. He only pitched 13 and 2/3 innings. Like, he didn't pitch much. Didn't pitch very well.
Yeah.
But with his stuff, to just let him walk away is puzzling.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into some Bellinger news here. Some teams have expressed interest in him. How much interest? I don't know. But the Cubs are determined to move Bellinger this offseason.
Because they overpaid him like we said they were going to.
Right. And as I have on the slide here, his contract could be a hurdle in finding a deal around the league. Because who's going to want to pay that? He's going to have to go to the right team.
Yep.
And I don't know if there's a team out there that's going to trade and take a chance on him. He's just been too inconsistent the last 3 years.
The team I've heard several times keep coming up is the Yankees. They've always liked his skill set, and they think that his bat at Yankee Stadium would play well.
I mean, yeah, it's
Probably
280 to right field. I mean,
you hit a pop fly to right and hit it out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's really the only team I see kind of maybe taking a shot at him. And if the Cubs are coming out and saying like, "Hey, take this guy off our hands," it's not going to take much to get him.
No, I think they just want to move on. Yeah. I think they're just prepared to move on and do something different. I mean, again, like he wasn't terrible last year, but they were expecting him to recreate the season before, which we knew would never happen.
Right.
Like he was never going to hit over 300 again. He was never going to hit 25 plus home runs. Like that's not who he is.
No.
Except for that one season, or really 2 seasons, he's been a relatively mediocre guy. He's an average player.
Yep. Yeah, came up as a rookie, hit 40 plus bombs with the Dodgers. Everybody's like, "Oh, this kid's gonna be legit," and just hasn't quite figured it out after year 2. Like, yes, he's had some nice years in there, but still not quite the caliber everybody was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, he's had really one good year since 2020.
Yeah.
And then a few pretty. I mean, he's had a negative WAR year. He was basically a 0 WAR for the last couple of years, and then 23 he had a good season, and then 24 was okay. I mean, he was a 2.2 WAR, so slightly better. He's better than average.
Yeah,
not great, better than average.
No,
but the Cubs are paying him to be more than that.
Right. And there was rumors that Seiya Suzuki was also on the trade block, but it seems like they have removed him from that. So
that would be surprising.
Yeah. So there was rumors that he was on there, but not anymore. So just Bellinger at this point.
What's amazing to me is that Bellinger's been in the league now 8 years. He's only 29. Like the dude is only 29. He won't even be 30 till midway through next season.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, it seems like he's been up forever.
Feels like he's been around for a long, long time. He hasn't even hit 30 yet.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into the Alex Bregman talk here. So reportedly the Astros have offered him 6 years, $156 million. We touched on this a little bit last week. Could Bregman realistically sign somewhere else? Or is the 2017 stench still around him and the fan bases of teams interested in him not be interested?
I think there is absolutely still a stain on him. And several teams have come out and have just said, like, we could never sell this to our fan base. We could never sign him and have our fans not hate it. And I think there's a lot of that has to do with him being relatively unlikable. Like I remember the whole back and forth with Texas, what happens if we don't win? I guess we'll never know. He and Seager got into the back and forth there. The trash can thing, like his swagger, his attitude, like he's the kind of guy who, when he's on your team, you love him. When he's somewhere else, you hate him. He's a lightning rod. And several GMs have said, I can't sell this to my fan base. I could not sell signing him to the fan base. I think his market is limited because of that. I also think it's limited because he's a third baseman, creeping up into his early 30s. He's probably not going to be a long-term third baseman. He wants to get paid like Manny Machado. I think his expectations are too high. I don't think the market's where he thinks it's going to be. And he's a guy I have a hard time seeing somewhere other than Houston. But apparently the Red Sox and Yankees are both pivoting to get aggressive with him but not as a third baseman, as a second baseman. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think as Red Sox fans, the trash can incident, like, I don't think we take much stock into it as much as like the Yankees fans would, obviously.
Oh yeah, because
Right.
they stole a championship series from them, like for
Right.
sure.
So, like maybe Boston would be a better fit. I don't know. But, reports came out today saying the Astros camp that Bregman is their number one priority this
Yep.
offseason. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he ends up staying for all the reasons we just said. So,
Yep. And I mean, he's going to be 31 next season. He's still going to give you a number of really good years. But his
yeah.
idea of picking up one of these 8 to 10-year contracts at his age, I just don't see it happening. I think he's going to have to
Yeah.
settle for a six-year deal like they offered him.
Yeah. And I mean, he didn't have a great year this past year, did he? I mean,
He won a Gold Glove, hit 260, 26 and 75. He was a 4.1 WAR.
so
He was
right.
down a little bit, but not down a lot. I mean, he's a career 272 hitter. He averages 28 home runs and 97 RBIs a year. So like he wasn't like way off.
Yeah.
He was down a little bit, but he's still a 4.1 WAR player, won a Gold Glove. Still very good, still very much a serviceable third baseman. You just don't know how much longer he will be, though.
Right. And for that money, you want to make sure you know what you're getting.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean, the Red Sox in some ways are kind of regretting the Devers deal because they're paying him like a third baseman. His defense has gotten not better. Maybe it's gotten a little worse. Third base is a hard spot. It's a reactionary position, and range is hard. And these guys that have range, like the Arenados and Chapmans of the world, Bregmans of the world, like there's not many of those guys.
No.
That can read and react that well.
Yeah.
And it's a hard spot.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So last week we had 3 teams that were way different than the 2 teams that are on here now. So Crochet was linked to the Red Sox, the Giants, and maybe it was the Yankees on there. I can't remember exactly. Oh no, Phillies, I think.
Phillies were on there.
So now we got the Reds and the Yankees are rumored to be in. Reds have the prospects, Yankees have the desperation. Where the White Sox are confident he'll be moved this offseason. Where would you see Crochet going? I do think the Yankees make the deal for him. This is me saying that because he would back up Garrett Cole from the opposite side, being a lefty. Him and Cole back to back, I think, would be really, really stinking good in the Bronx.
Yeah, I mean they would be insanely good together. I think the issue you're going to have is if I'm the Reds, I don't know that I make that deal because I'm only getting him for 2 years. So am I willing to give up kind of top tier talent for a guy for 2 seasons and with injury history? I don't know. Is he cheap right now? Yes. Is he going to be cheap the next 2 years? Relatively so. But then he's a free agent, and you're not going to sign him. So I see this being a situation where like a team like the Yankees, the Red Sox are better suited to come in, put a package together, bring him in, try him out for a year, try to re-sign him, and keep him. I don't see the Reds being able to pull that off.
Yeah, so it came out today that the Red Sox said that the price was too high for them because of what the White Sox wanted back. Like, it's no secret the White Sox stink, and they want high prospects in return. They want Yohan Moncada, Michael Kopech for Chris Sale type trade. Like, they're looking for top tier prospects in these organizations to move. So if he goes to the Reds, I know he just got suspended last year, but I think they want Noelvi Marte.
As they should.
Right. For the Yankees, I don't know who their top prospect is right now. Maybe it's Jason Dominguez. Yeah. Maybe they want him. The Red Sox was reported, my buddy just texted me, said it was Roman Anthony that the White Sox wanted. So
which I don't think the Red Sox will move under any circumstance.
No. So that's why they were like, nope, the price is too high. And no, the White Sox are like, hey, throw Marcelo Mayer in there too. But they might not want a shortstop because they have Colson Montgomery coming up. So maybe that's why they went for Roman Anthony. But I mean, you never know unless you ask a team, right? Like,
Right.
you don't know I need $20 until I ask you, right, Harrison?
Exactly.
So is that in the Christmas card you're sending me, or
I
anyways?
guess you'll find out.
All right. Moving on.
But
Now
with
this.
Crochet, I still hold my
Go ahead.
original with Crochet. I still hold my original position that I do not think he'll get moved. I still feel like the White Sox will screw this up. They will sit on it too long. They'll ask for too much, and they'll run out of time. And
Okay.
teams will move on.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, but my gut still says he doesn't get moved.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling you're right. I mean, I do. But I would also love to see this guy pitch in another good rotation. Like
Yes.
when the Phillies name was brought up, I was like, oh my God, imagine if he went to the Phillies. They would have 3 top tier lefties with Nola and Wheeler in there too. I mean, yikes. That would be a scary, scary rotation. But
yeah, I want to see him get moved because I would love to see this guy pitching somewhere that isn't as bad as Chicago, but
yeah.
I just feel like they're going to screw this up.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Facts. All right. This one was just kind of laid on us, and I don't even know where to go with this, to be honest.
I don't.
The potential of a golden bat rule. Now, it has come as it came public last week. Manfred did come out and say that he's not a fan of the change. It was just something he was kind of like snowballing, like just spitballing around the office, and it got leaked. And, he was just kind of coming up with silly ideas to try to improve the game or whatever. And then it got leaked. But the golden bat rule would allow any player in the lineup to hit in any situation in any point of the game of the manager's choosing. So if you got bases loaded, Shohei Ohtani's on second base, you can pull Shohei Ohtani off second base, have him hit, and replace him with a ghost runner. That's essentially what the golden bat rule would look like. Now, baseball fans came out and almost 100% across the board was like, this is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. It is more stupider than putting a runner on second base in extra innings. And I agree. This completely changes the fundamental of what a baseball lineup is supposed to do.
Well, it's like a free pinch hitter late in games. Like you bring in the closer, and all of a sudden, like you got Aaron Judge up there again. You're like, what? You weren't due up.
Right. Imagine back to back. Aaron Judge hits, and he's like, ghost running on first. I'm going back to hit.
It's like playing backyard baseball.
Yeah, that's essentially what this would work out to be. And I mean, I don't think this ever happens. Like I said, I mean, it will not be implemented in the game anytime soon. It was just something that was said behind closed doors and kind of got leaked. And then, as everything does nowadays online, just blows up. So it's just silly. I have nothing else to say on it. I just lost on it.
No,
it was even thought about.
It's comical, and honestly, like I wonder if Manfred didn't just plant this to get people talking during the winter meetings. But, I mean, it's silly. It completely violates all the rules of baseball. The fan backlash was enough to tell you right off the bat it was not a good idea. So I mean, it's we'll never see this. I just find it interesting. These are the conversations they're having. You got TV deals that are a mess. You got 2 teams without a major league stadium, and you're talking about golden bat rules. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean,
you got $1 billion deferred money in Los Angeles, and we're talking about golden bats.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yes, baseball purists are like, leave my game alone. And we were kind of on that same page when we're like the ghost runner on second in extra innings, the pitch clock. We're like, this isn't good for the game. And I have to be honest, it kind of has been. Like, a game's over in 2.5 hours. I can watch a West Coast game and still wake up the next morning. The ghost runner on second, I'm not watching a 22 inning ball game, wondering when the next guy's going to score. I'm not watching position players pitch unless it's, a 20-1 blowout. So like those changes that we weren't really for have actually worked out okay.
Yeah, and I think
This,
the pitch clock got us what we thought it would, though. It sped up the games. It also decreased the number of innings the starters go and has caused more injuries. So I do feel like we got
yeah,
out of the pitch clock exactly what we thought. Shorter games with the damage of,
right,
shorter outings for starters and more arm injuries
yeah.
because guys are just gassed and getting sloppy.
But those rules don't change the fundamental
Doesn't.
aspect of baseball. This
It doesn't.
does.
Yeah, this completely throws bullpen management, roster management, late game decision making right out the window. Like you're getting a free, ace of spades that you can play whenever you want.
Yeah,
Like
silly.
it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
So, all right.
This is not backyard baseball. This is not a video game. Like this is actual real baseball.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to some trivia now. And
Oh
for
boy.
you, Harrison, I'm going to list a few players. You have to tell me which college they attended.
And
Here,
college is so hard with baseball players.
yeah. So here we go. What college did these guys attend? Deion Sanders, JD Drew, Buster Posey, Paul Sorrento.
Oh, they went to mine, Florida State University.
Yes, Florida State. You are correct. I started that one off with you for a layup because I knew you would get that one. So,
Which is funny because one of the players that drives me the craziest is JD Drew, and he's a Seminole, of course.
yeah. All right. Next one. Where did these guys go to college? Dustin Pedroia, Barry Bonds, Jim Palmer, Reggie Jackson.
Oh boy. Arizona?
Close.
Arizona State?
Arizona State. Yes. Good. Arizona State University. All right. The Sun Devils. Where did these guys go to college? Jake Cronenworth, Jim Abbott, Derek Jeter, Barry Larkin.
Oh boy. Is it West Coast?
Nope. It's no coast.
It's no coast. Okay.
It's in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Where's Derek Jeter from?
So I'm trying to think. So Midwest.
Northern Midwest.
Yeah. I keep coming back to Northwestern, but I'm pretty sure that was not it.
No.
Because Jim Abbott, I feel like, had gone somewhere smart. Oh boy, that's a tough one.
Northern Midwest. Surrounded by water.
It's like Michigan.
Yeah, it's Michigan. Yep. Michigan.
Wow, I really did not. Honestly, I didn't remember Jeter going to college.
Yeah.
I thought he was the high school pick, but
Jeter is from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
oh, that's right.
Yep. All right. Where did these guys go to college? Mark Sweeney, Jeremy Pena, Billy Swift, Mike Bordick.
The University of Maine, baby. Woo!
That's right. Our own Black Bears, University of Maine Black Bears. Yes, sir.
Did you see there's a kid a couple weeks ago from Gorham High School just signed to go to Vanderbilt to pitch.
Oh, did he?
Second Mainer in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, Vanderbilt's pulled a Maine kid down to pitch.
Vanderbilt coach loves the Northeast guys.
Loves Northeastern kids. Yep.
Was it Giobbe and Ryan Flaherty? Ryan Flaherty played for the Orioles for a while. He's now a bench coach with the Padres. He went to Vanderbilt, and the Vanderbilt coach says, I pull kids from the Northeast because if you've ever been up there when they play baseball, I know those kids are tough. So
yeah. Northeast baseball is different.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Where did these guys go to college? Jonathan India, Harrison Bader, Wyatt Langford, Pete Alonso.
Ooh. Fresno?
No, you're on the wrong coast.
Oh, okay. I get for some reason I felt like that's where Langford had come from.
No, Langford won the Golden Spikes with this team as well.
Oh, right. Oh crap, where did he go? Wasn't like a James Madison, was it?
Mm-mm. It's a big SEC school.
Okay. So like Alabama,
Look at the colors.
Clemson.
Nope, they're
Oh,
purple,
that's ACC.
and they're purple and orange.
Oh, LSU.
Nope, they're yellow and purple.
Oh, Auburn.
Nope,
No, come on, those are all the orange and purple teams, man.
it's
Who am
not.
I
Oh,
forgetting?
it's blue. It's not purple.
Oh,
I
it looks
forget that.
purple.
I know it always does. It's blue.
Oh crap. Orange and blue. Who haven't I gone through in the SEC? Not Ole Miss, not
The big one in Tallahassee.
Florida State. Already went
No.
through Florida State.
Oh, they're not in Tallahassee. They're in
Oh, is this Florida?
Gainesville. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, the Gators.
I gave you the wrong city.
I
Look
was
at
like,
me go. Yeah, Florida.
Florida.
Yep,
Okay.
Florida. All right. Where did these guys go to school? Trey Turner, Andrew Kinsner, Carlos Rodon, or Patrick Bailey?
Oh, okay.
I am a big fan of this school.
Oh crap.
I live really close to them.
Oh yeah. So which one is this? Is this NC State?
It is NC State. Yes, sir.
Trey Turner went to NC State, huh? I thought he was a West Coast guy.
No, NC State. Carlos Rodon pitched for NC State. Trot Nixon's son played for NC State last year, too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Trot.
Yep. All right.
Tommy Tanks.
Yeah, before he went to LSU and raked. All right. Where did these players go to school? Kyle Seager, Matt Harvey, Zach Gallen, Michael Bush.
These are smart guys. This is like a Duke.
You're close. You're 7 miles away.
North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. UNC. Yeah. Good. UNC. Where did these players go to school? Darren Erstad, Alex Gordon, Matt Waldron, Aaron Bummer.
Oh,
Now,
and Erstad played football, right?
Yeah, he was a punter.
Oh, I want to say Tennessee, but the colors don't match.
No.
Nebraska?
It is Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
So I only remember that because Erstad was a football player, and I'm like, where did he go?
Yeah, we had that a couple months ago.
It was Helton that was Tennessee because he was the quarterback before Peyton, right?
Yep. Where did these players go to college? Tony Gwynn, Steven Strasburg, Ty France, Bud Black.
Bud Black went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Still
Strasburg.
does.
So is this Fresno or UNLV or it's one of those?
You're close. Where did Tony Gwynn play his entire professional career?
San Diego.
Yeah. So it's
San Diego State.
San Diego State. Yeah.
I knew it was one of those teams like in California, and I just couldn't remember which one.
Yep. San Diego State. Good. Where did these players go to college? Anthony Rendon, Lance Berkman, Brock Holt, and Bubba Crosby.
Wow, what a combo.
Now, I always rail on Joe Buck because he repeated what college Anthony Rendon went to 8,546 times in the 2019 World Series.
Was it Rice?
It was Rice, yes. Yeah.
Whatever school Rendon went to, they taught him how to steal money, that's for sure.
For sure.
That dude's making $38 million next year to basically probably play 30 games.
Or how to professionally call out sick. My God, man. Brutal. All right. Where did these players go to college? Garrett Cole, Brandon Crawford, Chase Utley, Troy Gloss.
Is this LSU?
No. This is blue in the background. I don't know why it shows up purple on yours. This is West Coast.
Blue. Is it Cal?
Not Cal. You're in the right ballpark.
Oh, is it? It's not. That's okay. So it's not like Cal State Fullerton, one of those.
Nope.
Fresno's red. UNLV. They might be blue.
No.
But we're California.
The Boston hockey team is also shares a mascot.
Oh, UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA.
I forgot about UCLA.
I do too, all the time. Yep, UCLA. Where did these players go to college, Harrison?
I already
Todd,
answered this one 3
yeah,
questions ago.
yeah. Todd Helton, Garrett Crochet, Ben Joyce, R.A. Dickey.
That would be Tennessee. Ben Joyce was a volunteer firefighter, and Todd Helton was the QB before Peyton Manning.
Yeah, the volunteer firefighter is still the best
The best.
nickname ever, dude. It's so good.
Especially when the guy throws 103. Like, although it'd be better if he threw like 85. That'd be funnier.
Yeah, University of Tennessee. All right. Where did these players go to college? Sonny Gray, Walker Bueller, Dansby Swanson, David Price.
I honestly remember this because of David Price. He was like the first like really big draft pick coming out of Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that's correct. Vandy.
He was such a big deal coming out of Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and then lately it was Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter coming
Yeah.
out of Vanderbilt too. When they
And now
made that
every year
run.
there's friggin' somebody that's coming out of Vanderbilt. They just stamp these guys somewhere. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. Where did these players go to school? Charles Johnson, Aubrey Huff, Ryan Braun, Greg Vaughn.
That is not a group that I would see going to college. I mean, honestly, like these were tough dudes.
Kind of makes sense they would go here if they're tough dudes. South Florida.
Oh goodness, is this Miami? The U?
It is the U. Yes, sir. All right. I think that does it for my trivia.
Awesome.
So, do you have? Oh God, here we
I
go.
got trivia for you.
All right. Oh, goodness gracious. More top 5 lists.
You like these, stop it.
I'm terrible at them.
You've done all right. I got a good mix of things this week. I think you're gonna enjoy these. So all right. In 2024, which 5 players had the most hits in MLB?
All right, let's go Jaron Duran.
Yeah, number 5.
Let's go Freddie Freeman.
Nope, not on the list.
Dang it.
I know. It feels like he's an automatic.
Let's go Shohei.
Number 4.
Oh, let's just go backwards here then.
Yeah.
Let's see. Luis Ariz.
Luis Ariz, number 2. We
Marcus.
talked about both of these guys on the show tonight.
Oh goodness, that we talked about a lot of guys on the show tonight.
I'm just saying they were at least mentioned. See, you give me that hint every week, and now you see how unhelpful it is.
Yeah, it's terrible. All right, so
you're missing number 1, number 3.
Had the most hits this year. Why is that? I would have thought it was Luis Ariz. Goodness, wasn't Simeon?
Nope.
Oh, Bobby Witt for sure.
Bobby Witt, number 1.
Yeah, for sure, Bobby Witt.
Yep, nice job, Chad.
Nice call.
Missing number 3.
Number 3.
He had a monster season last year.
Frankie Lindor.
No, he was just off the list.
Had a monster season last year.
Monster season last year. Plays in one of the markets we said is a little bit less desirable for most.
Jose Ramirez?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. He's one of those players we're wondering if they shouldn't just blow it up and trade him.
Oh, Vladdy.
Vladdy is number 3.
Mm.
So in order, number 1, Bobby Witt with 211 hits, Ariz with 200, Vladdy with 199, Shohei 197, and Jaron Duran a very respectable 191.
I should have gotten Witt. That was a good call in the chat there. That was dumb on my part. Nice call. Thanks for saving my butt there.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Appreciate it, Mikey.
All right. In 2024, there were 8 pitchers that made 33 starts. And 33 starts is important because that's basically the most a pitcher can make if they're in a 5-man rotation. So that's basically you didn't miss any starts last year if you made 33. How many of them can you name?
Scooble.
Scooble, no.
I'm already out.
And we're out.
Sale. I don't
Nope.
think. No. Goodness gracious, dude. This one's a killer. Garrett Cole.
Nope.
Really? Kevin Gosman.
No, sir.
Yikes. Are these top tier names or are these names I'm never going to pull?
No, these are, I would say 5 or 6 of them are top tier names. Like some of these guys were in the Cy Young
All right.
race. Some of these guys were just like gross.
Okay. Wheeler,
No, but he had a teammate.
Nola.
Nola's on the list.
Let's just go down.
There's
that.
actually one pair of teammates on the list.
Sanchez, Christopher Sanchez.
Nope.
Ranger Suarez.
Nope.
Goodness gracious. All right. He
Yeah,
definitely didn't.
One team on this list has 2 people.
Zach Gallen.
No. Right coast, wrong team.
Right coast, wrong team. Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease is on the list.
Yu Darvish.
No, sir. Only one San Diego. But if you go north of there to a team that pitches really well, you'll find a pair.
Team that pitches really well. Oh, Logan Gilbert.
Gilbert's on the list.
Luis Castillo.
Not Castillo. Other guy.
The other one. Logan Gilbert and
Think vacuums.
Tyler. George Kirby.
George Kirby. Yep.
All right. Let's see here.
There's a Boston Red Sox on this list.
Cutter Crawford.
Cutter Crawford.
He made 33 starts.
He made them all.
No way. Wow.
You're missing 3. One of them was in the finals for the AL Cy Young. One of them is a really solid pitcher on the West Coast. The other one is a lesser known guy, a younger up and coming lesser known guy on the East Coast.
Luis Heel?
No. Didn't not Luis Heel. In the Cy Young race.
Oh, Logan Webb's a good guess.
Logan Webb's on the list.
Yeah, that dude's a machine. Good call, Mikey. Yeah, Logan Webb. Yeah, I already said Cease.
I'll give you one more guess and I'll show you the list.
See, I can't even like give you the AL Cy Young because like it was a runaway. So I don't even know who else was like in the running for that.
He was on one of my favorite teams.
Oh, was it Raggins?
No, his teammate.
Lugo.
Lugo's on the list. So
yeah, I don't have the other 2.
Here's your list. Dylan Cease, Cutter Crawford, Logan Gilbert, Jake Irvin in Washington, George Kirby, Seth Lugo, Aaron Nola, and Logan Webb.
You could have given me 8 years. I don't think I would have pulled Jake Irvin.
Nope. He's an up and coming young pitcher that most fans would have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
All right. But that's pretty impressive to make 33 starts.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, literally 8 guys in the entire league did it. Just shows you how hard that is.
Yeah.
All right. These are fun. According to ranker.com, again, Ranker is a public polling site. Who are the 5 best pitchers in baseball right now? This is not based on statistics. It's based on opinions.
Shohei Ohtani.
Number 4.
Garrett Cole.
Number 5.
Blake Snell.
Not on the list.
Yamamoto.
Not on the list.
Spencer Strider.
Not on the list.
God dang. Scooble.
Not on the list.
Get out of here now.
Swear to God.
Who would be popular pitchers that they would want to see? God,
two of these guys are free agents right now.
Oh, Burns.
Nope.
Okay.
Older free agents.
Oh, Verlander and Scherzer.
Verlander's number 2, Scherzer's number 3. You're missing number 1.
I'm missing number 1.
When you think of just like purely talented pitchers, who's the first guy that pops into mind?
Pedro Martinez.
No, that's active.
I know.
Although Pedro might still be in the top 5 right now.
Purely talented pitchers.
Who's the guy whose talent blows you away every time you see him, but you don't see him very often?
Jacob DeGrom. Dumb. That's a dumb list.
Your list is DeGrom, Verlander, Scherzer, Ohtani, and Cole. I didn't say it was a good list. I just said it was a list.
Dude, baseball fans are idiots. No offense to you guys in the chat. You guys are all great.
This one will be fun then. According to ranker.com, who are the top 5 closers in MLB right now?
Kenley Jansen.
No, but that's a good one.
Craig Kimbrell.
No, he's number 6.
Oh, of course he was. Let's see. Closers.
I mean,
can't even.
number one should be obvious.
Class A.
Class A.
Dude, closers are tough.
Think big names.
Hey, I'm trying and I'm drawing a blank. Camilo Duvall.
No, he was like number 7.
Edwin Diaz.
Edwin Diaz is number 2.
Kirby Yates.
No, he should have been. The guy gets no respect. But
Aroldis Chapman.
no, 5 years ago, yes. These two guys are teammates.
Oh, that's a good one. Devin Williams.
Not on the list.
Helsley.
Not on the list. He was like number 8.
God dang.
Big lefty.
Hader. Presley.
Hader and Presley are 3 and 4. Number 5 didn't pitch last year, but we're hoping he pitches next year.
Bautista.
No.
Oh,
he's
Mikey,
he's with our Red Sox.
He's with Liam Hendricks. Yeah.
So your list is Class A: Diaz, Hader, Presley, and Hendricks.
So, Mikey, Harrison and I went to Camden Yards last year, and we saw, not last year, 2023, we saw Bautista pitch, dude. Watching him live was unreal. First of all, the dude's an absolute monster.
Jesus,
second of all, he was just throwing absolute cheddar. It was crazy to watch.
Well, we got to see Yanir Cano come in the 8th, and then Bautista come in the 9th, and it was chaos in that ballpark for those 2 innings. It was awesome.
And Cedric Mullins hit for the cycle. That's right. That was a sick game. That was awesome.
Never seen a cycle live and in person until that game.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Against the Pirates. All right. This is fun. According to MLB, which 5 teams have spent the most in free agency so far?
Well, obviously the Mets.
Mets are number 1. One contract puts them at the top.
Dodgers.
Dodgers are number 2.
Who else has spent? I'm sitting here putting together the free agent list and I can't even think about it. The Cubs have made some signings. Are they on the list?
Not on the list.
The
biggest no-brainer signing of the offseason.
Oh, the Giants. Yep.
Giants are number 3.
Then probably the Orioles.
Nope. These last 2 teams are West Coast.
The A's.
The A's are number 5.
And then, because of that Severino signing. And then, who else just signed over there?
This team signed several free agents. Made some trades, too.
Oh, the Angels.
The Angels are number 4.
Yep, that's right.
So here's your list. Mets, $837.8 million. The Dodgers at $223.5. Giants, $182. All one player for the Giants.
Yep.
Angels, 80.9. Athletics, 68.8.
Yep. Who else did they sign? Oh, that was just the Bautista one? They must have signed somebody else in there. The Athletics, not Bautista, Severino.
Severino, they signed somebody else to a deal. It was a utility guy. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah. All
right. So this is, we talked about this a number of weeks ago, but I figure with the Soto contract, it's worth talking about it again. So which 5 players have signed the largest free agent contracts in history? Now, keep in mind, these are players that went to free agency, not players that re-signed in season with the team they were on. Players that actually went to free agency.
So this is like overall sum of money, not per year?
Overall sum of money, yes.
Okay, so it's Soto.
Yep.
Ohtani.
Yep.
Judge. Harper.
Can he clean sweep it?
In history. Alex Rodriguez.
No, it just falls short.
Oh.
It's a shortstop.
Didn't sweep it. Lindor wasn't a free agent.
Nope. Wasn't Lindor.
His contract was big.
Yeah, Lindor was what, 10 years, like 341?
Yeah.
This guy signed the second biggest contract for shortstop right behind him.
Same time.
A year later or 2 years later,
Corey Seager.
Corey Seager, number 5.
Dang it.
So you got Soto, 15 for 765. Ohtani, 10 for 700. Judge, 9 for 360. Harper, 13 for 330. Seager, 10 for 325.
Now, what was Simeon's? Because wasn't his also 10 and 325 ish? It was
No, his was oh crap. You would ask me that. His was 7 years, 175.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was 10 and 300 too. For some
Yeah,
reason.
no, 7, 175.
Okay. They just
so
signed the same year. That's
yeah,
why
25 per season. Yeah, they sign all at the same time. But you look at these contracts, like that Bryce Harper contract, that's a steal right now. I mean, look at these numbers. Bryce Harper's the best value on the board.
That's wild. And it's really not that. I mean, Bryce has been in Philly for what? 6 years?
Oh God, yeah.
7 years at least.
Um,
That's not that long. What I'm saying is that's not that long to get those contracts doubled like that.
2019. So yeah, 5 seasons.
That's crazy. 5 years and the contracts have doubled.
Yep.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, average annual salary 25.3 million. Like Xander Bogaerts is making more than him. Like, let that sink in.
No thanks.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Which 5 players have signed the highest average annual value contracts in history? It doesn't matter. Free agent, re-sign with the same team. Highest average annual value.
All right. So Soto,
number 2.
Ohtani.
Ohtani with an asterisk.
Yep. Judge,
number 4.
Who else
There's
is
2 guys tied at 3 that signed identical contracts.
Seager and Simeon?
Nope. They're on a previous list. 2 pitchers.
Oh,
both.
Cole.
Nope. Both free agents.
Oh, goodness gracious.
43.3 million.
Oh, Scherzer and Verlander.
Scherzer, Verlander. And you're missing number 5.
So I had Soto, Ohtani.
Yes, Ohtani at 1, Soto at 2, Scherzer and Verlander at 3, Judge at 4.
Oh, gotcha. So I'm missing number 5.
Missing 5.
Would it be Acuna? Did they extend him?
They did, but it's not him.
So that's 40. 43 is number 4.
Number 4 is Judge at 40.
Yeah, 40. I was trying to think backwards.
This next guy sitting at 37 million.
Harper.
Not Harper.
Not Harper.
We just said Harper's at 25.
Yeah, that's right. Betts.
Not Betts.
No.
It's a pitcher. He didn't pitch much last year, which is the case most years.
Killing me. Oh, DeGrom.
Dumb. So it's Ohtani at 70 million with an asterisk because it's really more like 46 million when you take out the deferred money. Number 2 is Juan Soto at 51. Scherzer and Verlander both signed for 43.3. Judge at 40. Jacob DeGrom at 37.
I have completely removed Jacob DeGrom out of my brain, to be
as you should.
Honest.
Most fans have forgotten about him.
Yeah.
Sadly enough.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? And that's it.
Well, all right. Crazy. All right. I have a couple other things to add as we head home here. We got the Veterans Committee's votes are in for the Hall of Fame. So Dick Allen and Dave Parker finally gets into the Hall of Fame. I know a lot of fans have been screaming for years to get Dave Parker in the Hall of Fame. Finally gets in with a Veterans Committee vote. So I don't know much about Dick Allen, honestly, until I started doing this, but he had a pretty darn good career. 292 hitter, 351 career home runs. All of the other stuff. So rookie of the year, 1-time MVP, 7-time All-Star. Now, I'm sure we'll get into the Hall of Fame after all of this free agency stuff kind of goes by the wayside here. But are these Hall of Fame numbers to you? Does this scream Hall of Fame numbers to you? Now, I understand a lot of fans put in like, oh, well, he dominated his era. Like, and I totally understand and respect that point. But for me, the Hall of Fame should be the elite of the elite. And I know it's not anymore. And I'm kind of arguing against myself because that's not what the Hall is anymore. The Hall is just now a museum of very good players that we should all enjoy.
Yeah.
But these don't scream Hall of Famers to me. Granted, I didn't see them play in their era, and they could have absolutely dominated their competitions.
Yeah,
But
and that's the hard part too, is like you're comparing eras too. So, for example, so Dick Allen played 15 years, most with the Phillies and White Sox, 7-time All-Star, won the AL MVP in 1972. His OPS plus of 156 is the highest in Phillies history, better than Mike Schmidt's, and matching Willie Mays and Frank Thomas for 14th among players with at least 7,000 plate appearances. So, like, on the surface, his stats don't look like crazy good. But then you break down like what he did. He was a 68.3 career WAR. You know, he's ahead of people like Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson. I mean, he's ahead of Joe Morgan. Like you look at his stats and go, you look at the advanced stats and go, oh wow, that's pretty damn good. But like on the surface, they don't blow you away. So it's hard because it's when you compare these guys to like today, like when you're looking at different eras, like it doesn't look like much, but then you actually break it down for the time they were in the game and you're like, well, damn, that was really good. Like Dick Allen and Dave Parker terrorized teams in their careers and were really, when you break it down, elite players, but not in the stat categories that like jump off the page.
Yeah. So they're now in the Hall, and we'll find out who else gets selected here in the offseason at some point going forward. So the last thing I have is the Trey Turner documentary is out on Netflix. It's a quick 25-minute documentary about the fan that was behind giving him the standing
awesome. I
ovation.
watched it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if you're any fan, even if you're not a Philly fan, like I'm not a fan of Phillies fans for, this reason, but this moment was really cool. And it shows, how much of an impact fans can have on a player and a team. But it was a really cool documentary to watch. So if you haven't seen it, go. It's a quick 25-minute like blip, but it's really cool. So
yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. And what's really cool is at the end you actually get to see Trey Turner like meet the guy that started it at opening day for the coming season, and like it's a big hug, a big thank you. Like it really did completely change the trajectory that Trey Turner was on, just knowing the fans were behind him when he was in the middle of a slump. And you kind of forget at times, these guys are human. They feed off the energy of the fans. And when you're screaming and booing, like they feel that, like that does change how they play. And at one point, Trey Turner made the comment of like, he wasn't even comfortable playing in Philadelphia. Like he was happy when they went on the road. Because disappointing the fans is hard. And these guys are people.
I went to a Phillies game this summer for my 40th birthday. I went to the Yankees and Mets and ended with the Phillies before we came home. It's top of the first inning. Alec Boehm makes a tough play in the hole and spins and throws to first and pulls Harper off the bag a little bit. The place goes nuts with boos. And I'm like, yo, that was a tough ass play. Like, what are you doing? And that was kind of the attitude that was going against Turner. Like he was booting balls. He was in an 0 for 17 streak. And then that whole standing ovation thing just completely changed it. And he went on an absolute tear after that. But yeah, go ahead, watch it. It's really cool. Like I said, really quick, but pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so
it's cool. I came across it almost accidentally and I was like, oh wow, this is really good. And I'm glad I watched it because it's cool.
Yeah. So That is all I had for today. I know we had a lot in this show tonight. Do you have anything to add, Harrison?
A couple of quick things. So Roki Sasaki bidding is starting. Starts on Tuesday, so tomorrow, and will run until January 23rd. So he's actually going to be talking to teams. There are a number of teams that are preparing to make a really strong pitch to him to hopefully sign him. But he's not expected to decide until January.
Congratulations to the Dodgers. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like he ends up there, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Rob Manfred was in Tampa to meet with the Pinellas County officials that put the bond vote on hold. General consensus. The comments were the meeting went fine. Manfred's a big supporter of the deal. The fans is trying to find a way to make it work. The St. Petersburg City Council voted last week to approve issuing their share of the money for the stadium, and now Pinellas County's got to actually vote for their share. They've moved the vote to December 17th. So if they can actually approve those bonds and get all this wrapped up by the first of the year, they may actually still be able to be open for opening day 2028.
And kudos for Rob Manfred for actually going and getting something done, though. Like, I know we sit here and we crap on the dude for everything he's trying to do, but we've said, like, this is a priority. If you want to bring expansion teams into this league, you got to get this stadium stuff fixed first. And so kudos to Manfred for going down there and pushing the envelope a little bit. Yeah,
he sat with the county commissioners for a couple of hours. He met with Governor Ron DeSantis at noon. He went down to Florida to try to get business taken care of, and all indications are that the overall visit was good, and that progress will be made. So they may be able to somehow save this deal without it getting delayed. But to your point, nice to see Rob Manfred get out there and actually get some stuff done, because they need to push this along. Otherwise, and that was Manfred's biggest thing, is the commitment to the fans. Like, we need to take care of the people here.
Yeah.
And we can't keep playing this.
Yeah.
And then last item, Baseball America voted the San Diego Padres as the 2024 Organization of the Year, for their performance in the major league level, their improvement at the minor league level, et cetera, et cetera. They were the Organization of the Year.
Congratulations on your playoff exit.
Yes.
So. Cool. All right. Well,
actually, and this just popped up half an hour ago, Nick. The Cards front office has come out and said they do plan to trade Arenado this offseason, and they are open to have conversations. But Arenado will be traded.
Yeah, it says Yankees are interested in Arenado. That's the alert I just got to. And I just
Mozeliak came out and said we are absolutely planning to trade him.
I just got one through my phone right now.
What you got?
Bleacher Report is reporting that Astros are looking to trade Kyle Tucker.
Oh my God, he'd look great in Boston. Send him.
Astros may trade Kyle Tucker.
Which makes me think they have broken down with Bregman, and now they're at a point where they're looking to go into rebuild mode.
They are open. They're open to dealing Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez.
What?
Yep.
Send them both to Boston. Have everything you want.
So I guess teams have been calling them for trades, and they've come up and they've been considered.
So if you're going to move Valdez and Tucker, and basically you are at a spot where you're having a tough time getting Bregman to re-sign, you're going to just tell Pena and Jordan that, hey, we're just going to shut it down?
I don't know, but you know what? I said earlier in the show that I don't know who our next big free agent would be. Jordan Alvarez is gonna demand some big money. That if he can put some years together where he stays on the field and stays healthy, that dude's gonna put up ridiculous numbers, because he's not
the only thing hurting him is he's a DH, and he's a defensive liability anywhere he goes.
Yeah. But he also hits 50 bombs a year and hits 320.
Dude is a hitting machine, though.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's big.
So Astros could be tearing it down.
There's going to be a lot of talent available via trade.
Yeah. So there might be a point this week that Harrison and I jump on if this free agency keeps going like it is, because with Soto signing, the floodgates are wide open. So we're expecting all these dominoes to fall. Winter meetings started, so we're expecting to hear a lot of news here the next few days. So keep your eye out. We might be poking on, even for just a quick 20 minutes to a half hour, just to update you guys on free agents and kind of talk about the moves. But in the meantime, before you go, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on Instagram, follow on Rumble, and we will see you hopefully sometime this week. If not, we'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m.
See ya.